Hello, everybody. This is Waldorf,
And this is Statler.
and we're back. This time, we're going to be talking a little bit about.
Don't change my game.
Yes, can't be changing my game. We're talking about the new changes coming to our game.
So basically,
Our game.
we've seen a lot of diatribes and fireballs and explosive and excited language regarding the upcoming changes because of version 1.2, which will lead to 1.3, which will lead to 1.4, which will lead to 2.0.
At some point.
Yep. So just our opinions for what they're worth on all of this.
So, moving on. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
So here's what we're going to talk about. Things we're talking about. Why do we need the change?
Right.
Need change.
Exactly. Yeah. What do we need to change? Do we really need to abandon the old world that we knew for so long from a game company that will not be mentioned?
And is the Ninth Age really community driven?
Exactly.
Or is it a secret
Or
cabal?
it's the Star Chamber.
Exactly.
Yeah. Does change make it harder to convert old 8th edition players?
And does reducing the magic paths move us closer to Kings of War?
Exactly. So here's our opinions on all these exciting topics because we know you really wanted them. Okay,
Yes,
you didn't, but we're going
you
to give it to
didn't,
you anyway.
but you're going to get to it.
As with
But,
everything else.
You know, we should have put this on front of the rulebook review, so they had to watch this to get to the rulebook review.
There you go.
Anyway, start with why do we need change? Every game needs change just to keep it fresh.
Yes.
I mean, outside of any other issues, just to keep a game fresh, change is good.
From just a basic keeping the game interesting rule, yes. You see people talk about. I keep seeing or hearing people wax on about old Warhammer 8th edition. That was my phone.
I'm glad you got that in there.
Yes, old Warhammer 8th edition and how it was the greatest game ever and should never be changed and we should go
Right.
back to it. Forgetting that we had comp systems out the wazoo.
Yep. Every
Forgetting
tournament
that
had some
people
type
used
of
to complain about the imbalance in the game and the lack of clarity and the problems with getting facts from that company.
It's like us. It's the good old days.
Exactly.
Looking
Exactly.
back.
The grass is always greener in the past. We tend to put on the rose-colored glasses and remember a time that never was.
Correct.
It's the same thing when we had 8th edition Warhammer. People talked about how,
7th edition.
when it was coming out that they weren't going to play anymore because
Yeah.
7th was the better.
Well, I
one.
got to tell you,
or 6th or 5th or 4th.
if you remember,
Remember
when 7th came out. 7th was when they changed the charge distance to random. Correct. That was between 6 and 7,
No,
I believe.
It's been so many versions. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so because I think 8th was hordes
8th was hordes
and 7th was
and
the
random charge distance.
Well, whenever they switched to
That's
that,
when you
whether
got
it was
angry.
8, I was like, okay, this is done. I'm done with this. This is not going to be this. And there was something else that happened in that same time. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. And now,
Steadfast came at that time.
yeah,
too.
and now all of a sudden, after playing for 2-3 months after that, I was like, this is a really good game.
in comparison.
In comparison, yes.
So, and the same thing happened with 7th and 6th.
Yeah.
And all game systems. You look at if you're an AOS player, they've just come out with the General's Compendium, adding more rules to that game that make
Correct.
it more interesting. You have points, you have narrative play of different things. Kings of War is on their 2nd edition.
Yes.
These are fantasy game systems.
Yeah.
We get into historical, we've got
Oh, don't
if you're a
start
Flames
there.
of War player like I do also,
Right.
we're on 3rd edition, or probably 4th edition is coming out.
Yeah.
Games need to evolve because no matter how much you try to make them good and fair, you can only play test them so much and things come out through heavy playing and they just
Correct.
need to be modified. The others just need some freshness. If you go to old editions of Warhammer, every edition had all new magic. They changed magic every single time pretty much.
They
A few
did.
exceptions. Different spells, and it wasn't the
Different
end of the
spells,
world.
a different way magic
Different way
was
of magic
generated.
was generate all sorts of
Yeah.
things. So going to a near equivalent to Ninth Age is Warhammer.
That's the closest
Fantasy
equivalent.
Is the
but
closest
yes.
equivalent. So and that's true of most game systems. You want to keep things interesting, and you want to give people an opportunity to use their models in different ways. You want to introduce new models. So the reality is for a game to be healthy, to keep most players, not all players, but most players interested, you've got to change. You have to bring out new versions, bring out new units. Warlords, another system.
Yeah.
They recently, if you pull Bolt Action, another popular World War II system. I mean, we don't like it, but it's a popular system.
It is.
They're on their second edition. Games need to evolve.
Correct.
And when you're establishing a new game, and that's what Ninth Age really is, it is not Warhammer 8th edition.
Right.
It is a new
game
with its own background and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. Yes, many of the mechanics are the same or similar to Warhammer, but there's a lot that's different. And the reality is that it was never as good as we remember it.
And the more it moves, the more change that it comes into the game, the further away from 8th edition Warhammer it is.
But 8th edition was far away from 7th
not always
edition.
a bad thing.
And we had people when 8th edition went away, moved to Kings of War.
Correct.
Completely different game. Only some similarities. So it's all what you want to play. But to say that you can't not to change things, that's just not being
correct.
Realistic. And
it is being unrealistic. The game. This is my game. I don't want it to change ever.
Exactly.
Well, it's not perfect now. There's problems.
And there's always going to be. And because it is very complex, there's so many interrelationships. You change one thing that has a cascading effect. You don't change it and you have imbalance or problems during the game. So
yeah, play Blonde Beer and play his Infernal Dwarf against his Infernal Dwarves and tell me this game is perfect.
Exactly.
Sorry, guy. Don't know you, but I thought I'd catch you in the shrapnel. Anyway.
So I think we're honest with ourselves. Yes, the game's got to change. This is a new game. It's got to evolve. It's got to evolve to attract new people also. And it's not about tracking that. Well, we'll come to that. But and you've got to do things that make it interesting. As new models come on the market, you got to be able to incorporate them. So
So moving on, the other thing I've been seeing a lot of is the kind of whinging about, we're getting away from the old world,
right? The
old GW, old world. Well, I'm sorry, this system is not built in that, and to tell you, we have to this game has to get away from the old world. It cannot be in the old world.
I mean, it's
just not there.
We have to admit there's this thing called intellectual property rights.
Correct.
And no organization can just lift the entire intellectual property rights from another company and just put it out there without troubles.
Whether for profit or not, doesn't matter.
It just causes.
They won't come after us. It's different. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Good luck.
And if you're playing Kings of War, it's not in the old war. They have their own background.
Correct.
If you're playing AOS, they did away with the old war. They blew it up. One could argue it actually blew up 2 years ago.
Yes.
So it doesn't exist anymore anyway.
We can't use it for that reason.
Yes, exactly.
No.
AOS has its own background. Every game system has its own background.
Yeah.
The key is not, is it the old world or this world or that world? The key is, can I use my models and do the armies exist in the way that I want to play them to simulate at least the style that I think that they should.
And on top of that, players like us like the fluff and have that fluff background of an army. And from what I hear all over the place, I hear that they're making fluff. It's this incredible thing, and we've seen the 2 books army books they've done.
We've seen 2 books.
So I mean, it's
exactly.
I'm encouraged by what I see.
Exactly.
But the old world's gone. That's gone. That was gone with 8th edition.
And it's funny even there because if I recall Warhammer, people were always complaining about how the fluff never moved.
Oh, really?
That it was always stagnant. It didn't evolve. It was always the same fight. Chaos would invade, get pushed back.
Yeah.
Nothing ever really changed. Once in a while, a character would die until the end times.
Right.
So that was the complaint. It didn't move enough. So not everyone felt that way, of course, but you can't have it both ways.
Right.
The more important thing is the game for people like us, who we like historical gaming also, is that there is a fluff to fall back on, and because I'm someone who likes to build my armies around a theme, and I need to have fluff to do that with. And I like, and I think it's important, and I'm glad to hear that they're building the fluff because a lot of games they don't really bother.
Correct. Yeah. Another complaint I'm hearing all over the boards. Is it really community? What I'm hearing is it really community driven, or is it driven by 5 guys in a bunker somewhere that no one can influence?
Well, first, the thing is the term is community driven, not community led.
Correct. and not community created.
And not community created.
Right. It's driven.
This is not they never said it was a democracy. While everyone's opinion and vote, all 9,400 and whatever it is, 12 members that are on the boards have equal say in how the game's done. And I mean, it's amazing that they've done as much with the number of people that they have involved.
It is.
I mean, how many game systems have you been involved with that they've got they talked to 8,000 people, or at least heard it, and at least incorporated some of those ideas into a design?
Right.
None.
Yeah, there's none. There's none.
So I think part of this, though, in all fairness, is because it's not a company creating this. There's some kind of like holy altar when a company creates something that somehow
it's a set in stone rules.
And you get in arguments with people that the rules say this, blah blah blah. Whereas when it's a community people or even it's homegrown, you get the
arguments.
You get the arguments.
Correct.
Somehow
this needs to change. This kid's no good. Blah,
exactly.
Blah, blah. Yeah, and it's that kind of and that's kind of understandable because it's like, we can change this.
Sure.
So therefore, it needs to be changed, or it needs to be different, or it needs to stay the same because I like it.
Exactly.
There's 7,000 other people out there
that have a different opinion.
Correct.
And they've gone a long way. They had the polls that they've gone out. There's a lot of communication, and you can tell that a number of things have been incorporated over time into the Army lists and some rules changes. Is it everything everyone wants? No, because it cannot be, because we all tend to want different things.
I mean, the two of us differ on a lot of things.
Exactly.
We can't have the same thing,
Exactly. So somebody's got to take ownership of herding the cats and then coming up with something that meets the overall goal, which is to have a formation-based fantasy game that you can use in a tournament environment that has flavor from the list construction to the fighting style to the maneuver to army composition, as I said, composition. And right now, there's no other game that really does that. Kings of War is a fine game if you like it, but it is rather cookie cutter how things work. It's not interactive how you play it. It's one side, the other side. The armies are kind of similar. The upgrades are all the same. AOS skirmish game. It's not a formation game.
Formation game at all.
It's not, even though they've introduced points, it's not really intended for particularly competitive tournament play.
And when
Warthrone's gone, so
yes,
even they gave up their games to publish Ninth Age on their website.
Correct. So. And this is, the other thing you think of, the changes that are coming out are all designed to make the game better.
Yes.
Whether they do or not is going to be up for debate, and,
exactly. And if
they're not going to hit 99 out of 100. There's going to be a couple misses.
And bad decisions and compromise decisions are going to be made.
Correct. And then
in time they'll be corrected. That's the great thing about this community is the game. I hear people go, it changes too much, but they complained about Warhammer that it didn't change enough. So
yes,
it is evolving, and we're still not with the really official lockdown version. That's not happening.
We haven't got there yet.
Until next fall.
Right.
So
I think that's
these are all iterations till we get to that point of near nirvana. So yeah.
And even that's not permanent.
No,
so I mean,
and
it never should be permanent.
Absolutely.
So, and then does change make it harder? Do the changes that they're making in the game make it harder to bring in the 8th edition players that are still out there that haven't moved to 9th Age? Quite frankly, if they haven't moved, a change in the way templates are handled, a change in the way the magic spells, the number of magic lores that are out there, magic paths that are out there, is not going to say, oh, I'm ready to go. Oh, no, you don't have my magic path? I'm done. I'm not.
I mean,
I don't see it.
First, I have to be honest. I don't care. I don't think the future of the 9th Age is trying to attract more 8th edition players. I mean, you want more people to play the game so it's successful.
And those are the people. The thing though is they're the prime target. They're the guys that are out there with armies ready to go.
They are, but a lot of people have moved. And let's not.
But I think
let's be
correct.
honest. It's not exactly like this is not a niche hobby, and there's millions of 8th edition players out there. It was the lowest selling of the Warhammer versions.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people left it because of the high figure of the cost of entry for the game, and a lot of people love it because certain mechanic changes. maybe now that they don't have those limitations, maybe they will jump on the ninth. But the ninth team's got to worry about how do you get new players into the game.
Right.
Forget about their eighth or not. People from 40K or people from Bolt Action or people who have never played these types of games, AOS, whatever. Or is it enough to track them? And they don't care if they're making this jump, they're making the jump.
Right. Exactly.
And the reality is chances are, the other thing is if people aren't playing the game, there's a high probability if they're existing on people, they're part of a club or a group that decided to try something else.
They went in a different direction.
And they went in a different direction for whatever. Kings of War being the best example. Some people went to Malfaux, some people went to Warhammer Hordes, whatever, over time. But the best thing is to make the best game you can, and people will either be interested in that type of game or they won't.
Right.
There's nothing, keeping it the same isn't keeping it more like a game that was dying isn't going to get more people involved.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I really don't. And like you said, the future of this game is not in getting people who used to play 8th edition Warhammer into this game. It's getting new, like you said, getting new people into it.
Exactly. And that's already a tall order.
It's a tall order because it's not in stores.
Exactly. You do that with tight rules and lots of
right
different ways to advertise and reach out. And all of us, we're doing our bits, whether it's people like us, doing stuff on YouTube, and there's plenty of them. There's more all the time. Or,
right.
People pushing things in their local hobby shop, people running tournaments, whatever it is. What the executive team's doing with manufacturers, getting word out there. That's really probably the best opportunity is you start having miniature manufacturers, supporting the game system.
Yeah. And now it's a line that they carry.
Exactly, and it helps them because you have a lot of game system, a lot of wonderful miniatures out there that people didn't generally buy. Some people would, but they tend to buy GW figures because it went with their game system. They try to buy Mantic figures because it goes with their game system, or Privateer Press because it went with their game system, whatever. Now these guys have a game system, and it becomes more recognized. I think they see that it'll help their sales because now they can tie. It's not just selling random figures. Hey, you can actually play these figures that we created with this game. And you're not going to get in trouble because it's not compliant with the rules of the tournament scene that you have to have a certain manufacturer's figures only, which is always, a concern in a lot of areas. So the more they work that angle, the better it'll be for the game. So I don't think the focus needs to be on 8th edition. The focus just needs to be on getting more players.
Yeah.
And players will come if it's a good game, and they won't if it's not. And they'll come if their buddies want to come.
Yeah, a lot of them get dragged in from their buddies.
Exactly.
So, and that's fine.
Yep.
However they get here, I don't care.
We've all done it ourselves. We've either been dragged or we've dragged.
Exactly.
And I can tell you that between the two of us, a lot of years a lot of dragging's been going on.
And next topic we saw is the magic paths being reduced. Is that moving us closer to Kings of War by simplifying the game? Dumbing it down, I'm hearing.
I think the term I heard saw in one Mittens videos, give me a break.
You listen to his videos?
Yes.
That guy?
Yeah. Well,
he's old, isn't he?
No, he's a young guy. Sometimes you got to listen to your youngers to see get new ideas.
Yeah, okay. Give me a break. Okay, I remember that one.
Yeah.
No. Come on. We still have 10 paths of magic. We still have, probably average of 7 spells per lore. So we're talking paths. So we still have 70 spells out there.
Oh, absolutely. And to compare it to Kings of War is a genericized game.
It is.
What is there, 6 spells in the whole system?
Something like that.
And they're not really spells that we know. They're really just ways to either shoot missiles or to move your units. I mean, they're not... That magic system has nothing like what is happening in 9th Age. And frankly,
where it impacts the game
1.2 versus 1.1, the system is basically the same. Yeah, it's tweaking at the margins. Yeah, there's less spells. But even I hear people say, oh, we got so many less lores. How many lores do the people actually use?
I know.
How many people do you know that have access to 8 lores and they play their army and they actually use all 8 lores?
Now, I got to tell you, when this first came out, I was hesitant and I'm still going to miss the goblin spells. I'm still going to miss the paths that only my army had. The orcs and goblins have never been a top army in the game.
No.
but they've had their own little they've had their own little path. They've had their own little niche over here in the corner, and that was my guys. So I'm going to miss having the Orc and Goblin
I
spells.
understand the desire because I mean,
But
one of the armies, because I play as Sylvan Elves, and back in the day of Wood Elves, for a while, the Wood Elves had their own path. For a long while, that path was terrible.
right,
You know,
yes,
the Beast Herds had their own path.
you
Another
could
one that
move
was
trees.
terrible.
That thing was awesome.
Yeah, but you had it. And
Yes.
and we all want our own little specialty kind of niche kind of thing. So appreciate, but it is much more difficult to balance that much.
Yeah, I mean,
and
before
despite
there
what
were
people-
20, there were 20 paths
7 spells each.
With 7 spells each, it's what, 140? Can I do that math right? That was
Yes.
amazing. So over 140 spells that had to be looked at comparatively across 16
Exactly.
armies.
And so many of the spells, let's be honest, there were many magic missiles that were similar. One might have one higher strength. This one had this a little bit shorter range, but they were basically a magic missile that did
Yes.
direct damage.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of buffs and debuffs that were similar. So getting rid of, consolidating those, is that such a terrible thing? Having a few less? No, not really.
No.
Getting rid of maybe some of the big uber spells that were in the game that were designed to take
That
out.
win the game on one roll.
Won the game on one roll.
Right.
Purple Sun in 8th edition comes to mind.
Mhm.
That stuff's got to go.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't. You're doing well. All of a sudden, Purple Sun goes off and the game's over.
Yep.
It's like, was that a fun game?
No, you moved up with this guy on his horse, 5 diced you, and you're done.
So, like I said, I will miss the Orc and Goblin lores because with the Goblin lore, I don't like the Orc one. And
Yes.
if you have listened to us before, you've listened to me before, especially ranting. Two of the two biggest broken lores in the game right now, before 1.2 comes out,
From our opinion, yeah.
are race wars. I mean, race lore
wars,
paths. The ogres and the forge.
Yes.
I mean, those are incredibly good right
Yes,
now.
yes.
And the problem is it leads to that if they're not generic lores that most people
And
get.
for a long time in 8th edition, that was the case. Is the base, 8th lores were not as good as some of the evil.
as some of
lores,
the
you know.
evil. Good, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It is what it is.
so it doesn't bring it closer. I'm hesitant about it myself. Like I said, because I will miss mine. But it's going to be a good. I'm starting to come around to the belief it's going to be a good thing for the game.
It's going to be a good thing for the game, and so as you always, it's going to make it easy for people to memorize things, and it's no different than back in the days when people played Warhammer, and there was a new edition of Warhammer, and you had all new spells you had to deal with.
Right.
So there's less of them, but you just have to learn new spells. It means new synergies, new ways to focus on your army. It's not the end of the world. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't like gotcha. They can't memorize everything, and then you get them because they don't know a particular rule or a particular the effects of a particular spell, because they just don't see it very often, and they lose the game because of that. It's like, surprise, Guys, I'm sure that's fun for a few people, but
The
to win
person
that
doing
way-
it, if they've
Yeah.
got that kind of personality.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
the reality is I think most people they want to win, but they want to have a win against a competitive person.
Yeah, they want to win and feel like they've won, not
Exactly,
say,
not table somebody on turn 4.
Right.
So,
Yeah, like once been did to me.
Yeah.
But moving on. No, I agree to that to a certain extent. I don't think no one can memorize all 140 spells.
No.
Was a reason to change, though. I don't agree that was a reason to change. I agree for changing for other reasons, but I thought that was fine, because now that there's 100, now that there's 70, come on, I'm not going to remember 70 spells.
I was saying, the more you make it, the harder it is.
But most people, I bring a book with me.
Yes.
It's easier to look them up. It's easy to look them up and see what they do.
Yeah, you have to.
If the opponent doesn't have the cards, you can hand them to you and say,
Right.
"Here's what I rolled up. Here's what I'm using for this game."
Yeah.
So, anyway,
But
we're not moving close.
no, this game's nothing like Kings of
It's
War.
not. It's not like Kings of War. It's not moving
In
to
any
Kings
way.
of War.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as Kings of War is a bad game.
No. But it's a very different game.
But it's a different game. And the big thing with Kings of War is the interaction. This game has so much Ninth Age has so much interaction between the players.
Yes, everything you do is interactive.
What I think is one of the things I really like
Which
about
is what
this
we,
game.
which what we
compared to
enjoy
that.
about it.
And
We like those kind of games.
And what I was missing when I went and played those
right.
dozen, 20 games with Kings
Yes,
of War
and
when we were contemplating.
And we like
that.
doing the army building and
Yes.
configuring our units and configuring our characters.
Right.
And Kings of War, yeah, you can add a few magic items to units.
Although Kings of War has that big thing going for him that after the game's over, I don't have to pick up 80 goblins and put them back on a tray.
That. And the diorama bases are cool looking.
So, like I said, it's not all bad.
If only you didn't have to play.
I can just set them on my shelf and say I win,
exactly.
right? So, anyway, enjoy the ride, right? It's a fun game.
It's a fun game. Enjoy it. It's going to evolve. Keep giving your feedback. At the end of the day, if you decide it's not for you, go play something else.
Yeah.
But we challenge you to find something that you're really going to be able to get the same level of interaction, the same level of customization, and
the same support you get from it.
It's supported half as
Even though it may not at this moment seem like they're supporting you because they're going away from your idea.
Exactly.
They're supporting the community.
Exactly.
And these guys are not doing it. They're not doing it because this is their game and they want to do it. They're doing it to bring more people in and make more people happy.
Well, they're I think their true motivation is what I'm hearing because they're getting paid so much money.
Oh, is that what it is?
At least $0. I think that converts into €0.
Well, they make up
and
for
it's
it.
a whole £0.
Well, now they're over 8,000 members, so they're making up for it in bulk.
Oh, so 8,000 times 0. I can't remember my math. Is that 0? I think so.
No, I don't think so.
So yeah,
It can't be.
And if
8,000 is a bigger number than
Exactly.
1. So if you multiply it by a higher
and
number,
clearly by all the email posts I see, these guys from the executive board or they post that they must be making some money because they got to be spending 40 to 60 hours a week on this thing.
When we started signing on
just to get fireballed and abused,
just to take this abuse that's raining down on them right
Yes,
now.
yes.
I see these people out there online answering questions all day long, and I sit there and just kind of shake my head. And I'm like, how are they doing this?
Yes.
And I admire.
Where do we get time?
Either they're losing their jobs, or I admire them for being able to keep this up and keep their jobs.
Exactly.
Or I feel sorry for them because they're about to lose their jobs.
I think it's the latter because they're clearly very intelligent because they have all that free time and they can work and support a family.
Yes.
So,
But no, and
maybe they're all divorced now. It could be.
This game tells how many divorces did this game tell us among the executive community?
They need to put up a poll.
But no, these guys are here to help us. They're here to make this game better, just like we should be. When they put up a poll, Army support poll, answer it. Your input's taken. It's looked at.
Exactly, and if you got a comment, put it on the right board. But there's no reason to be angry or accusative or abusive. You're too abusive, they'll block you. But
or abusive. I can express your opinion. If you don't like something, express it. I mean, we just did
but don't personalize it.
We just did the review on the rule book for the new edition, and there's a couple rules in there that I'm not fond of,
right.
And I pointed it out, but I didn't say whoever wrote this was an idiot.
Exactly.
Because they're not. They saw something there that I don't.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe if I could talk to that person, I could point to them and show them where they're wrong. But no.
And we've seen some things have changed a number of times since the first alpha version. And it's because they're trying things. They're trying to fix things that were always broken.
Mm-hmm.
They try something, it doesn't quite work, so they try something different. Yeah. And it's a bit. And no matter how much general playtesting, it's not till the community sees it. They see a lot of tournament results. They see a lot of feedback that they see that something is really wrong, and that's how all
right.
game systems are evolved.
Well, I mean, we've talked about that before when we were looking at games that were supposedly play tested. The people who are, in a lot of cases, the people who are play testing a game are in on the rules.
Yes.
So they know why something's being done.
Yes.
So they tend not to take those really sharp right-hand turns with something.
Right.
You can say when we used to play test the Micro Armor game we used to play, we'd bring out a new set of you would bring out a new set of rules, and I always took it on myself to find a way to break them.
Exactly.
Which was fun.
And how big is your playtest group?
Right.
I've seen many games. It's very obvious as soon as you read the rules or play the first one that it's a money grab.
Yes.
Where they wrote some rules, they thought it had some neat concepts, but they clearly didn't play test it because it breaks very easy under various circumstances. Right. And the reality is, Ninth Age doesn't just break.
Right.
There are some things that, some combinations as such, and that's going to be hard for them to settle, but they'll get to it. That cause problems and give you a huge advantage, but there is no more purple sun like 8th edition had.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, like I said, take a deep breath. Really look at this. Is this really ruining your game? Whatever that change is.
It or your life.
Is it really messing up your game?
Yes.
Is this game really not playable?
Can you no longer eat? Are you locking yourself in the basement with a bottle of vodka?
Give it a shot. See how it goes. Let's keep this going. Keep giving them our support.
Exactly.
And, we'll get the game that we all want.
Right. And it's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's like life. Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Thanks for listening.